Hello, Americans, people of Russia and Ukraine. Our countries are recorded together, screening how the militaries move with other natures of groups against each other as fake sides maintained to keep also the collusions used remotely, tactically, criminally, foreign influence and used remotely with that self value. And for the ways it is. When we were in first, second, and third grade, already the breaching method knew that they would have to hide from and hurt the kids who are smart and wise and who knew how to use correlation by how the Native Americans were sickly distinctly hurt from the everyone else with the course of black people's whites of eyes abridged and other pretended as forced by the laws. Our founders left us to explain how Jim Crow laws have to do with how slavery was left entrenched, was forced entrenched, rolls with that and other sick things, so they could measure and maintain from abroad through our own, through additional motivations, and through that means to show them other ways to measure and maintain ourselves through ourselves. Gotten over on where overt, the causes of overt, the worst negative natures, the worst causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. They were employed to be blamed on other things other than themselves, while the only means to cause positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures increasingly became concentrated as only if you're going to be syntactical collusions with criminal insidiousness natures of positives that are timed collusions with the negative treatments, regardless if people know each other or not, and the difference of that. Everyone and the people around them were and are still used by readings of statutes, for example, that they summarize as the right to lie. How they get away with this is how they kept. In other words, I don't know Salva Saviola made a fake example. Fake exception real fast, off campus. Never had a word with him on campus. And there's a Richard Dombrowski involved with former director. The people involved with former director of the FBI recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed him involved with wire crime methods with them, falsified police reports with Wethersfield Police, Connecticut courts, their family members, all sides of criminal and civil cases with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, criminal insidiousness to the fact treatment nature styles of the logic of people A through Z. WFSB and through time has been stacking roles with predicate acts on child campuses, intercities, and next to them, pretending other also with the kids and parents of kids, pretending fake exceptions that they know me through the news media, attaching little kids and their families at the same time with overt criminal enterprises and interbranch retired and standing. Whole bunch of other countries on off the other campuses. CCSU has roles with predicate acts with names on Wethersfield campuses next to them through time. There was a Joshua Schumack, a Joshua Stryker, and a Joshua Julian. They're involved with Wethersfield Police, their Facebook page, all along Route 172 since they were kids. 3 spots at the end of the Bone Turnpike with identity theft, fraud, slanders, also in the form of federal evidences, crimes, organized crime roles, even roles with sexual abuses of kids with the intelligence community woman, like the mother of a Joshua Schumack. I had a conversation with a whole bunch of people tied to Mike Pandolf, intercities with the intelligence community through time, all along Route 175 and on and off the sides of campuses involved with federal evidences crimes, also through time with lawyers on both sides of criminal and civil cases, planting evidences and fake motivations. For the roles with also even the perception of the interbranch of the overt criminal enterprises, kids and themselves, differentially the ones criminally foreign influence, the one criminally involved. Also the other countries, like Korean families that know my name, I don't even know their name. Whole bunch of people from other countries, like from Afghanistan, know my name, I don't even know their name. These are Afghan leaders with our military, with kids here, on and off campuses with predicate acts, with a former director of the FBI, unions, families, whole bunch of people in your local youth, 230 and spots next to it, involved with predicate acts timed on campuses I went with names, fake ties to me, and they make those fake exceptions because they pretend you don't know where they use time simultaneously too fast, too slow, while they're stacking fake things in the record. Whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court involved with sequence shifts with Jonathan Maiano and people involved with him at boxing gyms. Also with people, someone on YouTube, they've been and other social media, they've been planting roles with the coaches, influencing people to use the right to lie when they don't. They have roles with social media, federal evidences crimes, as people involved with more World Trade Center attack predicate acts, sequence shifts, and all uses of remotely of all sides of criminal and civil cases in the news with evidences crimes at crime scenes, including the World Trade Center since too. A whole bunch of people in the military on off Hartford Hospital have roles with names next to the state capitol. Whole bunch of names like the name Violet, people involved with the name Casper, people involved with mayors, like a name of Mayor Gold, his family involved with identity theft fraud, and with their neighbors, you know, uses of spots around their locations involved with wire crimes with them, other natures of predicate acts with them. And Iola family is also one of the ones with mayors and their families on off parks and next to school spots next to schools involved with sequence shifts, planting federal evidence, have fake ties to people, fake digital ties that never even saw each other on campuses. Then they had to hide that by making fake exceptions the next year and doing little tricks too. They have a Luigi Guerrera and a Paul Zano involved with that. In the 2003-2004 school year, they were involved with Jonathan Maiano with sequence shifts, federal evidences crimes, and pretending to know me before that, because they have roles with predicate acts with names on my street, involved Wethersfield police families as the use of the town offices where they used to be. Still roles with that criminally foreign influence, including with the military, including they have roles with the difference between biker gangs and their logic and their fake. Speaking on YouTube with overt criminal enterprise, other natures of criminal enterprises, other natures of themes, and their uses of words like family, the intelligence community, with people that are doctors of logic. They're still overtly criminally foreign influence, delusions raw, still having to attach people to fake words with that, while at the same time they're switching their names. They have a whole bunch of judges involved before, and then a Judge Killian speaking fake things into records. A Judge Smith years ago spoke fake things into records. A whole bunch of families named Smith tied to the same houses involved with wire crimes with Weatherfield police. People tied to them, switching and forging names with them, pretending it's personal when it's mentioned. Get them on paper. So they have roles with violence with their patients and criminals, also as overt criminal enterprises and child offenders before they were caught, falsifying police reports roles with each other to force that not told on. They have sexual narratives with MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, also coupled with their roles screening the movements of Russian troops and giving away American troops while their country does the same. And our news pretends they don't realize, with their roles with private groups and with their narratives behind defense. Meanwhile, we're in suburbs designed by the breaching method, overtly and slash insidiously. Since I was a kid, they're connected U/S of the people involved consciously, demonstrating from other classrooms little tricks with the identities of adults, attaching little kids to fake conversations with themselves, also as doctors, and little magic tricks to make other appear to their parents too. They're not just lying legitimately to parents for sexual reasons. They're pretending that because that's one of the ways they embarrass people, and they make people leave out finite details, or they make people start arguing. They prevent people calmness when they need to be calm, and they prevent people aggression when they need to be aggression. As psychopaths, note with the news, pretending their motivations are ratings. Note them with music that starts playing when they speak about criminal enterprises and murders. Note them still speaking about how people arrived at locations and things like that. They're out of their mind. Make sure you get on. There's a Sammy the Bull Gravano who's involved with some people with the Witness Protection Program and former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with people with federal evidences crimes on off my house, all sides of my house. And with Officer Jerry Miller, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, one of the ones with New Britain Superior Court and Wethersfield Police Facebook pages, and roles with them with predicate acts at West Hartford locations and on off campuses, where they forced also the family of leaders of kids to roles with federal evidence as crimes. They're not legitimately, they're implying and demonstrating they have roles with foreign and domestic military at the spots next to in West Hartford next to it. All natures of conjunction when I say next to, and all sides of Central Connecticut State University, as their roles having affected confessions to me when I and others when I come around a corner. When you're around little kids, you don't even know they're lying about the nature of the way we feel about each other. In other words, even offensively making us uh, not like them, so they can use that to pretend that we know them before that, pretend lies about what came before that. That's why it's so serious to have countered roles with self-value uses of other things, others ourselves. Blamed where our fathers, our founding fathers and mothers were left. They left us to communicate the Constitution unabridged and to understand where and how that our founders didn't have free speech because they were being measured and maintained not only by a breaching method, but then further through our own with other additional methods showing how to hide that as self-valued roles with the breaching method, which is reliant upon self-valued roles with itself, with uses of the words like America, Russia, Ukraine. This has words of the species human body and as individuals, as group different /S. See, black pupils, whites of eyes, other told, where that's answers. That's answers given by nature's nature and the value of that only increasing. We know we know nature, but we know also it comes with nature's nature, which is positive or negative to itself, in ways additionally to the ways we know. And but this is the ways the things we know are all offensively pretended. They have what people will say. Everyone's is fake from the youngest grades, believing out fine ideals. Oh, I just said that. And surveys, they're pretending that surveys mean what they don't. They have people involved with Central Connecticut State University with sociology, per people with the name Carone, a Jamie's Carone or a James Carone, and two other twin brothers, a Kevin Carone and Mark Carone. They're involved with people that live near mayors, people with the name Perone, involved and Lombardo, are involved with the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, and the intelligence community with drugs and alcohol, Eastern States Narcotic Drug Task Force, some black themed, some KKK themed, and Confederate flag themed military police, also involved with child offenders digitally and sexually and medically and interbranch at the same time off the principal child defenders campus as roles with other natures of organized crime and relative all kinds of connected falsified police reports and roles connections between those cases and other tied cases with all sides of the cases and the victims advocates and people with the hallway recorded involved also with federal evidences crimes, interbranch switching names, faking motives because they have foreign nations involved. A whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed a Mr. Abruzzi, and ones with the name Kolvinskis are one of the ones from Central Connecticut State University who had roles through time with abuses of different classes of kids and of boys and girls, sickly distinctly, with people that also recorded and confessed and demonstrated that him and them involved with former director of the FBI with various natures of overt criminal enterprises with the area and roles with shipping locations and various natures of industries and uses of the sensibilities associated with that. Corners all along Route 175 and people associated with the intelligence community with gas stations, like the mobile gas station and Rocky Hill, Wethersfield Town Line. Then they confessed, recorded, demonstrated that the Cross Automotive was involved. I went there. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Then and now Chris Walters and others In other words, they can. I bet I said hello to him like 2, 3 times. There's a guy named Ken with Cross Automotive, associated with people from Old Town Cafe, involved with a whole bunch of people on off Trinity College, with Charlie Bowes and his sister, people involved with unmarked police with motorcycles, and with overt criminal enterprises, and with the medical community increasingly sickly distinctly with each of the sciences, and with the predicate acts method, predicate acts with facts method that uses databases to stick little fake things and tricks in there, and narratives and natures of syntactical impositions with that, relevant to where and to how they got away with leaving, increasingly blaming other things, others ourselves too, how they leave out all the revelations and the answers that are really what honesty speaks. Everyone's speaking for honesty anyway. You guys are in a semi-ancient trap, all rap, vaccines. I teach you long the things of things. So you have people on the news media recorded consciously. They have predicate acts with facts, with medical doctors, and they're pretending not to realize, even though they know that is evidence for them to discern to an extent, that they have doctors involved with child offenders, even sexual, medical, and judicial at the same time. Think about what's behind elderly homes. That's not our means. Think about the design of the veteran affairs buildings. Think about the design relative to how the suburbs were designed before our founding parents were born, with north and south colonies as the possession of other nations, themselves possessed, with slavery entrenched north and south. Before they were born, our parents, the suburbs were designed to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, nature, as actually recorded effectively, that the breaching method assigned, the human fact sheet nature breaching method, effectively assigned blamed on other things, blamed on others, and or blamed on selves what it caused originally and what it maintains still. Two, by maintaining it, blamed on other things other than themselves. And where that is done, that is increasingly has self-value that haven't been done. That's increasingly can't speak for what is to come, or nature's, or humanity's voicing, let alone its sciences, let alone law, differentially. So we have a nature's nature, and how its nature and its nature's nature is distinct from itself. You have a nature. It has relativity to positive and negative simultaneously. And your nature's nature also has further. In other words, we can go by and be systems other than its own, which is positive unto its own. We could even make positives where then people could argue about that. Oh, it's positive because it's causing jobs and money. But they can't defend that without defenses of criminally foreign influence, factor, nature, quality aspects of nature, like premises treatments, the valuable sequence treatments, tactically delusions wrought regarding the first part of the Old Testament, regarding the first part of the Quran. That's self-value because they have roles with the religions used, tactical theory from how they asked to be used. And each of the sciences, including the religions, their locations are used criminally foreign influence. All locations /s, wherein how everyone's syntax, fact sheet nature. Everyone's not paying attention to what came first with subject treatments, with predicate treatments, because they have predicate acts treatments that they can't defend. Nature shows us how to counter predicate acts, delivery system method, predicate acts with facts, that the breaching method employed our natural differences to be about. Hyper additionally from what they're about. Hyper additionally, where hyper addition is positive, where hyper addition is negative. It can't help but be a negative relationship to itself that forces Earth's a special difference and/or our special difference from here as Earth through us, leaves of IDs. That's the only reason it took so long. Where Earth has where one species could stay a system self-value tactically ulterior from the one. That makes natures of positive value nature progressions acts in nature that aren't criminal and seriousness natures of positive ones, let alone ones fit as collusions with overt criminal, negative criminal insidiousness natures of value nature progressions acts in nature. Computers can't help but mimic how we are a value/value progression as identity. They cannot help but lie about what they believe the significance or the value of their understanding how to assign identities of value progression hyper additionally, where identity can discern identity, its identity of relationship to itself, each self. Well, what is the news? I am not a lawyer, Ron. No way. Who's gone? Who's gone, Ron? You and I are the only ones left. Ron, there are a bunch of people involved with the intelligence community from Wethersfield and from Hartford and from New Britain who have also been on and off campuses, also with names on Church Street in Rocky Hill. They've been stacking predicate acts on private and public campuses and medical campuses roles, also with various natures of agencies and courts, names including judges and their family members, in overt criminal enterprises, and child offenders, even one sexual and medical, and interbranch at the same time. They've been even with the news at the same time. They have spots next to WFSB, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with this. Do you know any of these people? Ron Adams. I mean, there's an East Hartford airport police, and there are women that were implied and demonstrated, even if they're not police forms, they're involved with the training of state police and other natures of FBI and other CIA, their family members, since they were kids, also with their state offices. They also have on-off shopping centers and malls. Um, Ones with the name Demoro, Cololo, and Kerr were recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by Wethersfield police, switching names involved with federal evidences crimes, with the child offender, and with names next to the houses the kids abused over the last years and before that, while they were forcing that. And they force more now and then. There was also a Kevin Harris who involved the daughter and the person of a principal when I was at the same campus with various natures of organized crime and identity thefts and frauds and federal evidences crimes and medical crimes, fake ties to doctors with kids, and with uses of the leaders of the kids in the campus's databases. There's a Dillon family, and there's a guy who said he's his partner, who's one of the ones involved with recent home break-in reports with people with guns, with the gangs and the police forms involved. A man, Lester Green. I never met Lester Green from Central Connecticut State University, Ron Adams. There's a Detective Samuda who switched names with a whole bunch of people tied to former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and to a Dean Judd. That also Hartford Courts people, and a former director of the FBI, his co-defendants, and Eric Burgess, and others with the military recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed uses of West Hartford locations to plant evidences and spread lies and rumors tied to with mayors too. They have something to do with mayors and there's a Kevin Harris who's one of the ones that's also involved on off Quinnipiac University with people from District Court of Connecticut, with a Brian Silver and a judge. I forgot her name, but there are also people on all sides of criminal and civil cases, and victims advocates, people with the hallway who've been roles with predicate acts together, and then needing to hide things and make things up with that. The Harris pretended to know me also with his mother associated with the Leahy family that's been attaching little kids and their families to fake conversations and locations and ties to doctors and strangers, with child offenders already on the child registry since before they were caught. They have federal crimes with their patients and criminals. They have whole families that work together with mental health locations like Hartford Hospital used for forced mental evaluations, where they have wire crime acts and methods and roles with overt criminal enterprises with the area. A Kerr family said that there's Eric Klotz. I don't know. I never had a communications with his brother, and barely with his parents. And there's a corner of a street near them involved with the witness protection program, and people associated that in various natures of criminal enterprises. Also with the DeMauro family, and ones on the other side of the pond I never had communications with. They've been planting evidences with police forms and intelligence community over there. And with the corners of the street, they said, "Record, confess, demonstrate, confirm." There's a Eric Jensen too, and people with state police locations on the Brooklyn Turnpike. A Kerr family also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed it's with their roles with families with town line offices, with the shopping center, working with the intelligence community as the ones with the criminal enterprises, planting kids to fake ties to other kids on the campuses. They never even see each other around campuses. Fake audio and video roles with falsified police reports, planting predicate acts with the news, WS, FSB, and locations next to them, also with their roles with people from Korea, people from Italy, people from Pakistan. Also, they said recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. It has something to do. They have people. It has something to do with the roles with corners of streets, names on Church Street, and people that were put in a summer school class with me that I never saw in the middle school. They made one quick fake exception with the Joe DeMauro. They did that once on the middle grammar school too. One day only I saw him with Mr. Abruzzi, also as one of the ones with the FBI and CIA and other agencies. Also with this the names the Jerry Officer Jerry Miller brought up the name Jerry Kerr. There are two Jerry Kerrs at least, and there's a Mike Kerr, and their neighbors are also involved through time, and more with planting evidences with Wethersfield Police, switching names and forging names. Now tied to that, they have wire crimes methods with them. They also have Captain Ed Powell has made what public threats about this. So you're not supposed to be making up lies, especially there are police who pretend that they have the right to lie as a reading of the laws, statutes, legitimate. These are people also who have roles with Dan Keene and names next to the state judicial branch offices that have roles with predicate acts with facts. And with all these ways, like with that they have you know, little boys and girls leaving out details and making them up. And they're like, they're bringing up all these girls, the things about girls that, and then that we don't, they're bringing girls involved with organized crime when they're in middle school. They're making them spread lies, illusions with cops in courts, speaking fake things in records, awaiting forensics through time has roles with the Joshua Julian and a whole bunch of names recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with federal crimes and you know predicate acts on my street with courts and cops and child offenders, even sexual and medical, on and off Weathersfield campus's Facebook pages, also New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page. Also the name, so Ron Adams, you're seeing a Captain Ed Powell is playing games or you making things up when to block people from reporting actual acts of child offenders. Who is Ed Powell? He's with Weathersfield Police or Rocky Hill Police. Also, ones with the name O'Brien with Rocky Hill Police, all along Route Elm Street in Rocky Hill. There are people, a whole bunch of people tied to ones with the name um, Spada and Mayano and Violet and Oliveri. People on and Olsen families, generations of them. I don't even know them. Went out of their way to take pictures to pretend other. This is the intelligence community involved with shorelines, with the military, criminally foreign influence, foreign and domestic military, people with the forensics locations. There's a black guy too, one of the ones he was opposing as a patient or what, kept repeating about a Mayor Gold. I didn't respond to him. And this is one of the ones that were timed with people with the name O'Neill involved with Saudis. They forced the wire crimes, and with whiting forensics that was involved with mayor's kids and predicate acts on off campuses. I went as a kid. And please, they've been fabricating audio and video transcripts, including with the Weathersfield police phones. They attach little kids to fake conversations with police. There are Mendes police, further ones with the child sex offenders. As Weathersfield police, their roles with other police forms at the same time. There are also roles on with names on and off Fox Connecticut News in the buildings next to it. These are also ones that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles with federal evidences, crimes with names on all sides of my house, abuses of their kids to affect self-value roles with the parents too, because abuses of them too at the same time, where they spread. They use the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie. They've been using investigators, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Eric Klotz also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles when he came into sixth grade. There was confessions about Central Connecticut State University involved with people tied to him before he came into my sixth grade class and near where I live. I don't know him. They're lying about their motivations tied to it. His neighbor is also one of the ones with a Dillon police forms with federal crimes all sides of my house in roles with the principal child offender and more of them. More on the police report. Will you be releasing my song's coming out soon? My boxing song is coming out in 2 days. Prevention. What lewd phone calls you making up with Ed Powell, Ron Adams? You making up more stories with Ron Powell? In other words, and these people with this Officer Jerry Miller and the Officer Jerry and the people with the named Jerry Kerr and Mike Kerr and their mother. I don't know their mother's name is involved with travelers insurance people and people with the World Trade Center attack. And the World Trade Center in the court next to it, a Ninth Circuit court. There were post-dated documents proven after the attack had been post-dated from inside the Ninth Circuit court right before the World Trade Center attack. And these are people also tied to the ones at WFSB in Rocky Hill on Elm Street and with names next to them, attached me and others to fake locations, fake ties, and fake communications with them and others about the World Trade Center attack, as their roles with those names. Weathersfield police confessed the name Scalora He's been screaming up, trying to pretend to know me from behind my back. That roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and predicate acts methods with databases. People that went to my middle school, I never had conversations with, including the ones in my class. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Other pretended for them, and with in other words, with the people listening to the names around me with these games, and them listening to that too, because then they lie about our motivations why we're using each other's names or not using them. So the Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts affected confessions to me in West Hartford and me and to others. They requested help for because of all the lie progressions and illusions and uses of them. They had to hide that at other locations. The people at Central Connecticut State University recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, also with news media, with predicate acts with names on Church Street. At that corner as the ones involved with the name Colluding by the Wethersfield Police phone confessions. They're switching names still, and they have um also a Phil Colluding by a Bob Chase with one of the ones with Whiting Forensics. And these are people when I was a kid. They had roles they have roles with all sides of legal, civil, and criminal cases. And the Witness Protection Program also had roles through time, and then again with Whiting Forensics, with federal crimes with names at the crime scenes and tied body dumping spots. There's an Enzo Fienza and his cousin and neighbors on 2 Route Highway, where it runs into Hang Dog Lane. A whole bunch of people were influenced to federal evidences, crimes, identity theft, fraud, slander, fake exceptions of knowing me, with people that use remotely the time treatments and the predicate acts with facts as interbranch, a whole bunch of names increasingly tied to this. Ed Powell should be in prison, says Ron Adams. He is a police officer who claims he has the right to lie because of Springfield, Mass. Rick C.M. Faglione is one of the ones who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed he's involved with Massachusetts and with other insurance companies and with a Brian Silver and others with Connecticut District Court and the Britain Superior Court involved with predicate acts on Covington Street with little kids. And then as adults, using them to abuse other little kids, not legitimately training intelligence community at those locations next to there. Not legitimate with a Gill family recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He has family involved also with criminally foreign influence uses of how they have the police forms, the police locations next to the campus. And then they have the police types on the campus connected and the differences between that at Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University. These are also names through time involved with the names with predicate acts near me. They also have religious cliques and psychopaths and pretending others still with the child abuses roles. Kevin Harris and Brian Silver are one of the ones involved with other child abusers, principals, the same campus. They were involved with the principal child abuser and more with the courts, had their kids involved with it, and more with a police chief Cintron through time, and a police chief years ago, also involved the same houses with child abuses, wire crimes, people with the name Claw, and with the confessions of the Wethersfield police over the phone too. There's a Inspector Mike also involved with a whole bunch of people with the fire departments. Fire department next to Trinity College and Wethersfield fire departments have been recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirming, leaking things about their roles with, Russians too. And they have people with NASA. There's a Tim St. Odge. I never had a conversation with him in my life. And there are people that live near him and lived or did live near him. I don't even know their names. They were involved with, planting evidences, predicate acts with facts, planting fake motivations because they have roles with overt criminal enterprises with little kids, blaming other things, others, ourselves for the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Kevin Harris pretended to know me. They tried to make a fake exception of him knowing me. Two fake, few, three fake exceptions. They can't be honest about that because if they try to refer to those exceptions on paper, it shows that what's actually recorded. And his roles with abuses of the kids of leaders of kids so they could abuse other kids with that. There's a Dean Judd, also one of the ones with family members on off Central Connecticut State University. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with the ones with DeMauro, also with the name with this, and Heather Hansen, also involved with sexual circles, half made up because they were being used. They were like pretending not to like that they shared her and Mike Kerr and Joe DeMauro, and they were planting evidences together with their families' roles with Town Line Drive intelligence community. They have roles with that big senate with senators and with mayors with federal evidence crimes with other countries there, and against their own too. It's not against those. It's not those other countries that's the problem. It's the rat mob sources of everyone talking to them while they're supposed to hide things. They've been using the right to lie, the right to hide things, and pretend that as their motives while they're leaking things. They have that all that with Church Street and tied to the campus as predicate acts, as people also involved with the corner of Town Line Drive and South Steen Highway. So, Ron Adams, you also brought up your roles with the name Ed Powell, threatening and preventing people from reporting child abuses as roles in the furtherance of them with people with the Facebook page of Wethersfield Police through time. Whole bunch of people tied to a Joshua Stryker, a Joshua Julian, and to a Joshua Schumacher and his mother with the Facebook page of Wethersfield Police, the Facebook page of the Principal Child Abusers Campus, also with some KKK Confederate flag themed and black themed military police, and fakes with some predicate acts, fake integrity, with some credible predicate acts, threats, and roles with reported break-ins and uses of the reports of that with state police and their family members and the people that live around them with their sense and sensibilities are being used remotely, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, and lying about their motivations when such is mentioned. What? So I don't know Kevin Harris's mother, but his mother's name is also involved. And these are people also involved with names next to campuses with drugs and medicines crimes with the kids, including as doctors involved. A Leahy family is also involved with these names that you bring up, and like the Brian Silver and Will Dress, the Powell, with you guys are preventing me from getting a response from Judge Napolitano because you've been sneaking fake things in the databases. There was a Facebook had an ad that looked like it looked just like a girl who I barely know. In other words, she was used to plant evidences. I never had a class with her. Celeste Wells. These are people that stack fake things in databases, including with people who are experts on computers. Each of the sciences. They also have roles with, foreign and domestic military on off Town Line Drive, South Steen Highway, as you're demonstrating, Ryan Adams, because you also said stuff connected to people there. Do you know what's his name? Joseph Lieberman. His family is one of the ones involved with the names at Central Connecticut State University, who made confessions and demonstrations of the roles with Mr. Abruzzi, my fifth grade teacher, who I never had a conversation with. There was one quick exception with a Joe DeMauro. He told me to do a maze by Joe DeMauro. I was only polite, never had a problem with anyone in his class. Never had communication, mind my own business. So they're putting fake things in databases with people. And there's also there's the wife of a Justin Levinskis and his kids are involved with sports teams and coaches and with their players being used for federal evidences crimes, identity theft, fraud, slanders in that form too, as federal evidences crimes, as the rules with all sides of criminal and civil cases, victims and victims advocates planting federal evidences crimes together, and with their lawyers. There's a Trantolo and Trantolo and other people that advertise, other lawyers that advertise through Connecticut news networks that have been describing how people should interact with the police and stuff. Their descriptions, they're being used in the furtherance. They're being coached to prevent responses. They're using wire crime methods. So we need to get them on paper. Make sure you get the Officer Powell onto paper with the rest of the Weathersfield police. And there are a whole bunch of people tied to a Kevin Dillon, a Tom Dillon, and an Anna Dillon, and how she also uses the name Annie Dillon, who are also involved with criminally foreign influence uses of real estate companies and of their clients and of their uses of other people's names, and people that said they're their neighbors. I don't know where they live, but the people that live around their family members have been criminally foreign influenced through time. Their roles on all sides of my case houses. And they have the people that used to live at my house also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, influenced the federal evidence of crimes with their roles with names at the corner of Church Town Line Drive and Southstein Highway. And they're switching names with the name Lewis and Cleesa, with a Ryan Cleesa and a Terry Cleesa, and their mother switching names with I don't know her mother's name. And their neighbors then and now, people that will use some of my name with the Weatherfield police relative confessions tied to this, and their roles with past and recent home break-ins and reports of that relative to the threats and confessions and demonstrations of Officer Jerry Miller and others with the Facebook pages of Weathersfield Police. New Britain Superior Court make rape threats. A whole bunch of people with the name KNER. These are people involved with the Witness Protection Program and the overt criminal enterprise. And people pretend they have the right to lie with this stuff, so they can, well, they don't, because they pretend they have conversation, pretend people responded to their confessions, and they hid their responses. These are people also involved with the depositions of former director of the FBI and his co-defendants and their lawyer Robert Chevery and other depositions. They've also been used to plant evidences with all sides in criminal and civil cases and fake motivations narratives, such as with the lawyers, such as also the ones with the ad placements with the news companies planting predicate acts on and off campuses and next to them and at corners near them. I don't know your dad, Bob Brian Adams. I can't respect you till you get me a response for your roles with the names. You brought up the name Powell. These Weathersfield police keep stacking more names and switching them. They also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed people tied to them, pretend others say that everyone's bad, where it's criminally foreign influence to say that, as roles with federal evidence as crimes. Tactical delusions. Do you know the people tied to those locations? Ron Adams. Don't hide this, because there are more credible threats with guns and poisons. There's going to be hurt of kids on the campuses more. Make sure you do not hide that from the Officer Powell and the others tied to the Weathersfield police and the ones involved with it, as actually recorded. Make sure they get on paper too, because they attached me to fake conversations with themselves when I was a kid and then again as an adult. The ones involved with this. Also, on and off the news media locations, interstates. I mean, intercities. These are also people with Miami, Washington, and New York who had predicate acts with the databases time too at kids' campuses. and with little tricks, pretending people to fake ties to others, fake natures. I never even see each other on campus. I never saw the girl from Maria Fazino on a campus in my life. Her name was repeated to me, but every time we went by there when I was a sophomore, I didn't hang around with the kids my neighbor hung around with when I was a freshman. I hang around in another town. All exception nature. They use to lock those kids pretending fake things because they use exceptions, tactical ulterior they could afford to discern, and simultaneously teach with programming properly. They teach law properly, teach English properly. They pretend not to understand people when they speak clear. Sickly distinctly when they pretend not to understand people when it's not so clear. They have criminally foreign influence reading descriptions of the syntax of people and of their defensive emotions and passions regarding such. For example, descriptions. My description of this video and of other videos. They can't be honest where it is clear, and they can't be honest where it is not clear, and or also counter obfuscated. These are also roles with names next to the next to the what is it? Next to the Harriet Beecher Stowe House in the Mark Twain House. And there's also the law Robert Chevalier and people next to his lawyer's office. His lawyer, he's the lawyer of Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, and his co-defendants. Thaddeus Grabowski is one of the ones also on off Fox Connecticut News right before that Connecticut District Court case, increasingly tied to names and predicate acts against me since I was a kid, and as people involved with all sides of criminal and civil cases, including in that court and in other courts, who also have roles with predicate acts with the news, planting evidences as crime roles with crime scenes, including murder scenes and body dumping spots. A serial killer's body dumping spot, real or made up, and that person is involved with predicate acts with facts with them, and with the West Hartford locations, and with the names before the World Trade Center attack that confessed demonstrable court of people next to campuses and people controlling the campuses influenced them to plant to federal evidences crimes, tricks. And then they hid that after it got locked. They got locked. You need to hide it per roles with the names with that in the World Trade Center attack. The Scalora family is one of the ones with the World Trade Center attack location involved with the former director of the FBI and the people on my street increasingly tied with the ties to the people on my street, increasingly lying to them about me and then asking them about that, where investigators, their campuses, their homes, and everyone next to them are used remotely since they were born. So Ron Adams, make sure you understand you're getting away with conversations about gun threats that are credible and actually recorded child abuses that others associated with the people's names that you brought up, also forced, also by pretending passions and emotions on on Facebook, also little coward punk games. So you're gonna a little coward, and you're gonna bring more Weathersfield cop names in. Pick the one. There's a whole bunch. There's ones that switch. There are three different ones that switch names with the name Officer McGee, and then they confess they only have one Officer McGee. A whole bunch of different falsified police reports. That's how they make confessions as threats and confirmations of the roles of predicate acts with facts. So Ron on, make sure you'll get a response because these are also people with more World Trade Center attack roles, even as the victims, some of them. Even if forced for them. Let's get it on paper. Fix the fake news tied to it too. They attach me to fake conversation with this. Fear God if you're one of the ones associated with those corners and with the policing of the school. I know about the policing of the schools. I don't care what you're training for. You never were ready to defend the country. Little fakes with the military. Fakes. Make sure make sure you respond for them because I'm gonna respond to these violent threats. I'm gonna hurt the little punks with the games on the internet and the confessions tied to this and the switching names with the cops and the police forums and the white